Today, I'm going to talk with you about a couple of controversial topics and how I feel my culture influences my opinion. First off, in your opinion, should the race of the child or the parent be an issue when it comes to adoption? I honestly don't feel a race should be an issue. Following that, I'd like to briefly talk about sex education. Should it be taught at home or in school? In my opinion, it should be talked about in both locations. I'll talk about that more in a moment. In my opinion, race shouldn't be an issue when it comes to adoption. Diversity is beautiful, whether it's different cultures, races, beliefs, even genders. I read an interesting book by Sandra Patton, who's also an adoptee, called Birthmarks, Transracial Adoption in Contemporary America. And she briefly tells us about a conversation she has with a social worker talking about how she didn't really feel the need to know her birth parents in order to really know who she was, unlike some people that she did talk to. One of the interviews, she's talking with a girl and tells us that at the age of 21, adoptees can request unidentifying information about their birth parents that would tell them the age, a physical description, and the education of their parents, along with the place of birth. If they were a county adoption. If they were a private adoption, their files are sealed and cannot be opened. Next, I'd like to talk briefly about sex education. I read in an article in Today USA that 85% of American adults favor sex education in school, which is up from 76% in 1975 and 69% in 1965. I side with this to a degree. I do believe it should be taught in school, but I also believe it should be taught at home. Some parents might not know how to have the conversation with their kids, so having a conversation started at school could be a door opener to the conversation at home, where the parents could then install their cultural beliefs, as cultures do have different beliefs on things. I actually did briefly speak to my children about this at home. In Joseph DeVito's textbook, Interpersonal Messages, he teaches us about culture sensitivity, which is an attitude and way of behaving in which you are aware and acknowledge cultural differences. I'm pretty open-minded, so I don't truly feel that I'm ethnocentric, another term DeVito introduces us to, which is seeing others and their behaviors through cultural filters. I am open-minded and love learning about new cultures and the diversity. When my parents moved me here in 1999, I met who became my best friend, who was Mexican-American. Later, I met her cousin, fell in love, had my 3 beautiful biracial children. Unfortunately, that ended in divorce. Spent a little bit of time with a southern white guy who I later found out was racist. Made me realize how much I missed the Mexican culture. Several months after the separation of that relationship, I met my now fiance of 6 years, and he's Mexican American, so we have a lovely modge podge of a Mexican American with a little bit of culture from the southern people, and even my roots from upstate New York. Overall, I believe everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and I know culture has a big influence on what our opinions are. Transracial adoptions can be a very beautiful thing. So yeah, I support them as long as the parents are going to be good role models and love these children and care for them. And I also think sex education should be taught at home and school, because schools are going to go off of the mainstream culture, whereas when you have a conversation at home, you're instilling your culture into the education. So at the end of the day, we're all humans, different colors, different cultures. We should just love each other for what makes us beautiful and let the negativity just disappear.